Today's video, I got 3 of the 6 energy draining signs to watch out for, to know for sure. Maybe it's not this, it's that. Alright, so let's get right into it. I'm just gonna go over 3 in this video, and I'm gonna go over 3 in the next video. The first 3 I'm gonna go over is insomnia, lack of motivation, and hopelessness. You guys may hear those 3 and be very familiar with them. You may think of depression, you may think of worthlessness, you may think hopelessness. You have no drive, no motivation anymore. All right, so it might not just be those things, and if they are those things, it might be linked to being emotionally drained. So all right, let's get right into it. The first one, that the book I'm reading called Emotionally Intelligence goes over, is insomnia. So it says the emotional drain is often accompanied by stress, which is characterized by a racing mind that is trying to contain 1,000,001 thoughts. You think about how you cannot focus on one thing because your mind keeps jumping to something else, and it's jumping to something else, and it's jumping to something else. Well, maybe you're insanely stressed. You ever take the time and just not focus on everything that you have to do at one time? And if you do, you're putting your brain in overload, right? So with it being in hyperdrive, how can it find or make any room to relax or to rest, right? So people who have insomnia, they can't sleep because their brains won't allow them to relax, to calm down the mind in order to calm down the body for you to get the rest that you need. You're okay with it. You're just like, I just don't sleep. And with no rest, and being okay with not having no rest, and knowing that without recharging your body down the road is detrimental to your health. Then it says, if you're having trouble sleeping and have not undergone a major life event, that would explain your insomnia. You might want to look around at the people you spend your whole time with. So maybe it's you got 17 kids that you're taking care of. Maybe it's you're going through a divorce. Maybe it's you're in between jobs. Maybe it's you sleeping on the sidewalk. Maybe it's trying to get a job. Regardless, most people in the world are juggling multiple things that are insanely stressful. But it's how you manage your stress that ties into if you're having symptoms from that stress and how you're dealing with those symptoms. So with insomnia being one of those things, maybe it's not everything you're going through by itself. Maybe it's the people that you associate yourself with that's draining your energy, and now that's one other thing that you're stressed out about that's adding to you not being able to sleep at night. Anybody ever lay down to go to sleep and you're like, man, I got such and such amount of time, I gotta lay down, I gotta go to sleep and get my rest, I gotta get up, and your eyes don't close? You were in bed on time. You got your clothes picked out for the next day. You had your shower. You ate. You did prep work. You cleaned the house. Like you did you did all this stuff. And now you're like, all right, cool. I can be done for the day. I checked off everything off my list and I'm good. I'm prepared for tomorrow. And you lay down and you're like, I'm good. But you don't sleep. You lay down for 10 minutes. You lay down for a half an hour go by. And you can't sleep. Right? So maybe that person that you had an argument with earlier that day, maybe you had an emotional reaction to a situation that someone that you love or care about or have heard of, maybe the reaction to that is pulling on you, right? Especially for people who are empathetic. We feel like, I say we because I'm one of those people, we feel like it's hard for us to go on with our lives knowing that someone else is suffering in life. Right? And I used to give so much of my energy to situations like that. But then with doing that, I'm depleting myself, and I didn't know that. So I would hear people say, you can't take care of somebody else if you don't take care of yourself. Nobody practiced that with me growing up. So I didn't understand what that meant. I just heard that and was like, oh, yeah, okay. But I never actually did the work. Now that I'm doing the work, and since I've started doing the work, I understand that I can't fuel myself to have the energy I need to build for what I'm building for if I don't have the energy to give myself? If I continue to know that I'm empathetic and know that it pulls on me and it takes the energy and drive that I may have to be empathetic, then I need to harness that enough energy for myself first so I can propel that to work for me. Then whatever's left over, I can give to someone else, right? I would feel bad that this person has to walk so far every day, or that person don't have a place to live, or that person, they eat twice a week. You know what I mean? Like just stuff like that. We all know people like that. But you can't open your home to give someone a place to sleep if you don't have a home of your own. You can't feed someone that only eats twice a week and factor in 3 meals a day if that's how that person eats, if you have mouths to already feed and you're on a tight budget. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there are other resources, but you get my point in my examples. Like, you have to give to yourself and make it work for you in a way that you have it to give to other people. I used to be like, all right, I got an extra $50 and this person needs to borrow 30. Okay, here you go, right? But at the same time, you know you need that 30 back. So why are you giving money away that you know you need? I had to learn the hard way. You shouldn't be giving money away that you need, because now you're both stressed. You're stressed because you need that money back, and that person is stressed because you're hassling them to make sure that they give you back that money that you need. No, you should be handing out money or lending out money that you don't need, that because you took care of yourself so much and so well to the point that you have so much extra to give. All right, so that's insomnia. We're moving on to lack of motivation. And it says, we said that motivation is the force behind the go-getter attitude that allows us to achieve our long-term goals. Okay, makes sense. You need motivation to get your goals achieved, even if it means putting up with the hard work in the present. When you are down in the dumps, you lack the necessary emotional resources to motivate yourself, which makes sense, right? When you're motivated, there's nothing stopping you, right? No matter what is in the way, you're willing to withstand it to get to where you need to go. When you have lack of motivation, you're just like, why am I doing this again? Or you're like, do I have to do this today? I don't want to do this today. And then you start getting to, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm going to do, right? So now you start making excuses why you're not getting it done. Okay. The things you used to love are no longer appealing, and you have to give yourself a pep talk before getting out of bed in the morning, right? So it starts to come from up here with high drive to down here to low blows. Like, and low blows hurt. The things you used to love are no longer appealing. That sounds crazy. When you really, really love something, emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, spiritually, you feel fulfilled while you're doing it. You feel good. Like, you feel happy that you're serving someone else, and their reaction to them being helped is your happiness in return. Not money, not pay me back, not I did this for you, do it back for me. No, just because you did that thing and you enjoy doing that thing and you're helping someone, and then you bundle that together, that's enough for you. It's insane. It's crazy to think that, and then one day it don't. Isn't that something? Emotional intelligence. I'm telling you, like, it's important that we understand our emotions, because on one aspect you're like, yes, I got it, I'm fueled, I got the drive, I'm fired up, let's go, no matter what, success. And then on the other hand, you're like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this anymore. This is hard. It's not working today. I don't feel like it. What? That? Oh, I don't do that no more. I'm done with that. It didn't work out for me. Like, two different pedestals, complete different planes of the field. Yeah, so now you have to give yourself a pep talk just to get out of bed every day, where before that motivation, where it didn't lack, you were just jumping out the bed. Okay, let's keep going. An energy vampire might come in the form of a boss who is always criticizing your work unfairly, right? Even when you have delivered pure gold. Anybody ever work with or be around people that no matter what you do, it's not good enough? Like the example it says, even when you're delivering pure gold, it's still not good enough for that person. That person still has something negative to say. You will likely not have the mental or emotional energy to give into it with such a boss. Or even the job itself after several months of constant criticism. What do you think is going to happen to yourself the more and more you continue to chase after this boss, to please this boss with everything, every detail, everything they told you to do, how to do it, when to do it, why you're doing it? But they always have something bad to say. No matter what you do, no matter how much harder you work, no matter how many hours you choose to stay or show up early or try to impress them, they still have something negative to say. So eventually, what do you think is going to happen? While you had previously enjoyed your job, you will likely catch yourself not wanting to show up at the office. A lot of us have worked in or still is working in jobs that we don't want to go to anymore. Or we don't enjoy it no more. The thrill is not there no more. Because why? You lack motivation. Someone there is sucking your energy from you. Now, the motivation you had, let's say it's a passion, or let's say it's just a job for the moment that's paying your bills, where you had the motivation that no matter what, I gotta pay my bills, so I gotta go anyway. Something else is like, no, don't show up. Like, why are you still going? Right? You don't have that mental clarity. You don't have that headspace no more where you're like, man, why this person is always like this? Or this person always talk about their problems. We all got problems. You start lacking motivation, and before you know it, you quit. You put in your 2 weeks notice. You just don't show up no more. You apply to other jobs and you move on with your life. Yikes, right? And now we on to the last one, hopelessness. Hopelessness. Hope is a thing that has been channeled by many a person to get themselves through difficult situations in life. Makes sense. When a person is without hope, they see no end to their suffering. You ever hear a person complain about their issues over and over again? And I used to be that person, right? I used to talk about my past as though it affects me today, until I realized I have control over my today. Until I realized my past is in the past and it's never to return except for the memories. The only way that I continue to reinforce my past is by remembering what no longer exists, right? The only way it continues to exist is because you keep speaking it to stay alive. Does that make sense? I used to want a family for my family. I used to yearn. I used to need to have my family as a whole. In the years of being a preteen into teenage years, I was separated. I grew up with 9 brothers and sisters, so it was 10 of us, and we were all separated from each other for about 7 years. Up until 14 years old, that's all I knew was my brothers and sisters, my family. And then we got torn apart from each other, right? And then for years, I would tell my story to people, and I would say, I don't know how to live because I'm so used to taking care of them, right? I couldn't get out of, like, especially the beginning, I couldn't get out of that mom mode. I was a mom between the years of 7 and 14 years old. I was taught to take care of my 7 younger brothers and sisters since the age of 7. Right? So you can imagine how I was so ingrained. That was so ingrained in me. That when we were separated, and now I'm supposed to, as a teenager, becoming 16 years later, how difficult it was for me to not focus on myself. Not be worried, not call and check on them and see how they're doing, or be so worried with where they ended up and how the people they're living with is treating them, and so on and so forth. So that headspace that I was in, I wasn't given to my 16-year-old self. I took the mental headspace that a 16-year-old should have and be using to build a dream or have an imagination. I negated that. And I stayed and was suppressed in 17 through 14-year-old mindset. And when you're in it, you don't know that. You don't understand if no one is teaching you these things. Right? So I had to learn the hard way, years and years of pressing family and trying to reconnect and trying to build and making sacrifices and giving up college and just giving up my life to try to rebuild our life just for it to backfire. So how many years, 19 years old now, how many years went by? I'm 20 years old, not currently, speaking about a part of my story. I'm 20 years old now, and I wasted all of those years, right? So I continue to stay stuck in the past, and being stuck in the past wasn't serving me, but I didn't understand that. And it took me until I was a parent and I started to seek out personal development and realize I enjoyed motivation. I would listen to it and I'd be like, man, this stuff really helps people think and gets them going. And then I started doing it myself. And then I realized I was wasting so much time being stuck in the past, which is a time frame in life that no longer serves me. I learned about propelling myself for my future by speaking into the future, becoming my future self, living towards my future. So no longer being stuck in the past, because I was speaking about the past and I was keeping those memories alive. And it used to hurt. What? Yeah, it used to hurt. But then I got to a headspace where and I learned, if you have no control over it, why are you wasting your time? That was where my mind was. Until I learned, if you have no control over it, whatever you can control, if you've done what you can do, and beyond that, you have no control, why are you wasting your time? You could feel bad all you want. Let's say you're in a shelter and you see a family with their kids on the street. You could feel bad all you want, but there's literally nothing you can do about it. For yourself, to make it like, if you directed them to the shelter that you're staying in, you did something. If you directed them to churches and friend places, you make some connections and phone calls so that you can see if they have some space available to get them off the streets. You did your part, right? But you can't do it yourself. You're in the jam yourself. You did all you can do. Beyond that, you can still feel bad, but it's not going to change their situation. So I had to get tough. And I'm still working on that today. I had to become a little more tough so I can understand how to navigate my reality properly. So like I said, 3 things: insomnia, lack of motivation, and hopelessness. Maybe you need to pay attention to those signs and see if you look at your circle and see if you have some emotional vampires, emotional draining vampires, because they exist. That's what I got for y'all today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. If you took away something for this video that you value or that you learned from or you already knew and you understand it's true and it works for you, please comment that below. If you have read this book before and it's worked for you, please comment that below. If you never heard of this book before, get this book. If you need help managing your emotions, I'm telling you, get the book, read it for yourself, or stay tuned in these videos because that's where it's coming from, the source itself. I appreciate you. God bless you. Please, peace, love, and blessings. And like I always say, until the next video, what you still here for? Let's get to work. Enough said. Let's go.